You know, a real One Piece fan right here. Anyways, let's just jump right into it. Anime Therapy Podcast, episode 22. Are you scared of what I just did there? Let's just jump right.
Felt like I was gonna be in like an anime AMV of like fucking Sasuke getting choked by Itachi, some shit like that.
Yeah, never seen that AMV, but funny you say that. That's how I got into Naruto, was the Naruto and Sasuke, their first fight at the Final Valley, and it was Chop Suey by System of a Down in the background, and it was so well edited that it made me emotional, and I was like, yo, I gotta watch this shit. This shit looks so fucking cool.
The fight's so good. I love that fight.
It's so, yeah, like, I know we're automatically starting off on Naruto, and we have a whole different anime series to talk about, but real quick, original Naruto's Final Valley fight, or the end of Shippuden's Final Valley fight?
Original, I think. Like, I like the sentiment of the Shippuden one, where it's like they both end up taking each other's arm, you know?
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, like, you know, we have come to a consensus that we are okay with each other. But the first one just has so much more impact, right? Because Naruto loses. Also,
Yeah.
Sasuke could have just killed Naruto if he wanted to, but he didn't. Afterwards, so.
I mean, and the fact that, like, when you compare the two, it's like they're completely different characters at that point. Not character development wise, I mean powers. Like, it's cool, I guess, visually to see all these like power ups and them going all out, but it's like they were kids when they were going all out, and that was nothing compared to what they are now. And I feel like that fight is cooler for that reason, is like they're kids, and like this is it's crazy how hard they're going. And this, I don't know, I feel like there was way more impact. I mean, the final Valley fight is cool for its visuals and like the fact that it's like all coming together and it ends the way that it does. I think the best part of that fight was when it ended. Not to sound like, oh man, I loved it when they stopped doing it, you know? Like, that's not what I mean.
Part of the movie, the credits.
The credits, yeah. Directed by, yeah. Cool. Well, a little, I guess, spoiler warning for everybody. We're going to be talking about the Fate series pretty much the whole time today. If you have not watched Fate Zero, Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, or Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel movies, we're going to be talking about those pretty much the entire time because there's a lot to talk about.
And we're not talking about Fate Stay Night, the original version, because
no,
it's doo-doo.
Is it though? Because I went back and I had never seen it, but I put on the first episode and watched like the first like 5 minutes. I'm like, yeah, the art is, you know, 2006. What are you gonna do, you know? But it was only until I watched Heaven's Feel that I understood why there were 3 different Fate Stay Nights.
Well, yeah, because Fate Stay Night, the original one, is the Saber route, and
so you do
like,
know about the roots from the video game.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I know all this stems from the visual novel, and like, you know.
Did you do the research after?
Yeah, I did the research after.
Okay. I was gonna say, if you just knew that and you hadn't watched any of them, I'd be like, what the real Fire Emblem gamer over here, just like playing all the Japanese visual novel games.
Nah, dude, I know from Fire Emblem that people die when they're killed. So, you know.
Yes. Tends to happen when you're.
Quote from our boy, Shira.
Yeah. Or I was gonna say from Thor from Infinity War. He's like, don't do it, it's suicide. And he's like, only if I die. Like, yes, that's what it means. It's like
you don't get what I just said, did you?
you don't understand. Um, well, yeah. So what do you? Let's start with you
All right.
because
So
I also watched Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works, and the 3 movies, and I'm almost done with Fate Zero, which I know you've only just started Fate Zero, but let's start with you.
so I want to start with Unlimited Blade Works because I watched Unlimited Blade Works, then I watched Heaven's Feel, and then I'm starting to watch Fate Zero because that is the order that the Fate subreddit on Reddit has declared to be the proper order.
Oh look, Reddit ruining things again.
And we disagree on that. They're not ruining things. I actually appreciate this order. So
okay,
and I'll explain why.
Okay.
So Unlimited Blade Works, right? You start off with. So there's actually a prologue episode where it's basically from like Rin's perspective, where you're kind of going through her summoning Archer, her initial kind of steps into the Holy Grail War,
which I think is a great first episode.
Yeah, and then having that episode go into basically the same episode but from Shiro's perspective, right? I gotta say off the cuff, Shiro to me reminded me a lot of Subaru because this guy just keeps getting bodied. And I'm like, dude, you're fucking pathetic. Like, you're so disappointing, man. It's so sad.
Well, he reminds me of Kirito because he's kind of lame, but like he is like the one that will be the strongest, but like he sucks like kind of in the beginning. Where Kirito doesn't, like when it starts, like he shows that like, oh, he's just really fucking good. But also because it's the same English voice actor, that's why. And hated that.
Oh, okay.
Hated Shiro's English voice acting because all I could think was Kirito the whole time.
So yeah, so like the introduction of Shiro and him getting Saber, which I appreciate because obviously with Shiro's connection to
Kiritsugu,
and it being the same Saber, I'm glad I saw it first as opposed to seeing the initial part of Zero, and then when he gets the same thing, it's like, oh, connection. So I went into that blind, and I was like, okay, so we have a Saber class. And I didn't know what she looks like because it's hard to be an anime fan and not like see snippets of Fate merchandise just around.
Oh yeah.
So I knew what Rin looked like. I knew what Saber looked like.
Rin is the poster girl for Fate for sure.
I knew what Rin, Saber, and Archer looked like, and that was it. Everything else was new to me. Which, looking back on the series, I will say Ufotable really good at dropping early hints to the whole Shiro Archer connection thing.
I was gonna ask you about that
because I didn't catch it in the beginning, but when the reveal happened, I was like, this explains a lot. Yes. Okay.
So you can imagine me watching it for the second time being like, because I was gonna ask you about that. I was like, that reveal I did not see coming. Like I had no idea that was what was gonna happen at the end the first time I watched it. But watching it the second time, I'm like, wow, they're using like settings that like you wouldn't have expected, or you wouldn't have caught the first time you watched it.
Well, because you think just like Shiro's in the archery club just because he's good at it, right? And
Yeah.
then just leaves suddenly, and it's like, oh, you know, he's as a heroic spirit, he's in the archer class, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, well, there's 2 and 2 together.
It also didn't make sense that both him and Archer used swords. Then again,
Right.
you realize that Archer is I don't want to say Archer is Shiro because he's not. He's just
Shiro's
the
heroic
ideal.
spirit. Yeah.
He's the ideal of he's Shiro's ideal in dreams manifested as a heroic spirit. So it's not really him, but it is him. You know.
Yeah.
That's why he has white hair and not red.
I take it as it is him, but I think the hair transition is interesting because you could attribute that to like stress, potentially.
Sure, yeah.
As you know how Archer talks about like, oh, you know, I essentially just became a hitman, for hire, thinking I was doing good, but in the end I was just killing people for the sake of others, and then got basically hung for it. So
yeah, I mean, the hair difference for 2 reasons. One, because they didn't want to make it obvious, obviously, and 2, it's because when they explain that like a heroic spirit, they just sit in a realm that is beyond time, so it could come from the future. It's because that it hasn't happened yet. That it's more of like. That's why I say that he's the idea of Shiro's dreams. Like, he's the ideals that have, like, manifested as a heroic spirit, because that isn't Shiro yet. And it even shows at the end, when it shows Shiro walking through the desert, he still has red hair. And it's shown Archer at that same age, but with white hair, because that's his story. Archer and Shiro are 2 different characters, but Archer only exists because Shiro existed. That's kind of thing. Which makes no sense why he would try to kill him, because it's like that's not actually going to change anything, because you're just the ideal. You're not actually him.
Yeah.
A little confusing.
Totally. No, that's fine. So back to sort of the Unlimited Blade Works timeline there. So Rin gets, you know, obviously with the whole talisman that gets dropped off to Shiro so that he could summon Saber, and then that whole thing, and then they form a pact after, you know, Rin tries to beat it into him that, hey, you need to bring your servant to school, because if you don't, people will kill you. I will kill you. So Shiro
starts beating him up to prove the point. Like, I could kill you right now. Yeah.
It's just such a fucking problem. That it's the biggest problem I have with Shiro. It's just the blatant disregard for his for how important his life is if he wants to save others.
Right.
Like
but that's the whole thing that they are annoyed with him about, is that you keep putting everybody first and you're not focusing on yourself. You need to focus on yourself.
Which is
relatable.
Yeah, I mean, and it's something that this point will get brought up again when we get to the Heaven's Feel movies, too. So Shiro, you know, constantly taking L's, wants to give up immediately, right? And then we have Kotomin.
Kotomin, yeah.
Who to me is just this church guy who participated in the last Holy Grail War, and it's like, okay, you know, sure. You're the arbiter now. Makes sense that somebody who participated in the last one would do so. Seems fine to me. Then we have Shinji. Dude, fuck Shinji. All my homies hate Shinji.
Shinji fucking sucks.
My problem with Shinji is that his voice actor, his Japanese voice actor, is Levi.
Ah.
So I have this beloved character, and I'm like, this motherfucker is Levi. And I
Yeah.
had to look it up, and I was like, no, no. So
Yeah.
now I'm watching Attack on Titan 2, and it's like, no.
Yeah. Well, what's most annoying about Shinji is that he's such a good character because he's playing the role so well of the person that we want to fucking hate and find so annoying. And he's just, the best word I could describe him is he's a little shit. You know?
Yeah.
He's a bastard.
I mean, he's worse than that with, like, you know, the stuff that he tries to do to Rin, but, you know, not quite there yet.
Yeah. So we have four so far. I know you didn't even mention Kotomine as a current player, but
not
he's
yet,
one.
Yeah. He is one, yes. Then
Irish Vale.
there was like the I guess before all of that, you see the first glimpse of Iliasville.
Iliasville, not Irishville.
Her full name. Yeah. And you know, with her being like, you know, you need to summon your servant, big brother, or you know, you're gonna die. And I was like, you know, they show the nightmare that Shiro has, and I'm like, it seems like his whole family died. Like, why are you saying you have a familial connection? And obviously, it's not until, you know, later in Unlimited Blade Works, but more so in Heaven's Feel, where it's more clearly stated that, you know, she just views him as a family member due to the familial connection to, oh god, Kiritsugu, yeah, that's...
Yeah.
And that, and then for me, what kind of like hooked me into the series was that first fight between Saber Archer and Berserker, which was really fucking cool.
I was gonna say the first episode was Lancer and Archer, but I see what you mean.
Yeah, that was cool, and that had some nice animation. But it was a decently short fight. But the first like sort of, you know, long form fight was that fight, and I was like, wow, this is sick. Like, this is really cool. Just like the invisible blade that Saber has, but also just like the raw power of Berserker. Like, it's super cool.
Well, real quick, are you a history nerd? Like, do you like ancient myths, legends, world history type things?
Because
that's what hooked me on the show.
I am like kind of so on it. I'm not like super going into the show. I wasn't super, you know, history buff type stuff, but as more of the, you know, people got revealed as to what they were and how they truly were, like, I kind of brushed off that, you know, heroic spirits summoned from the past, present, or future. First off, I brushed off the future stuff because it didn't seem like anybody was from the future.
Right.
Yeah. That
little did we know. Yeah. You know, foreshadowing.
And then the past stuff, I was like, okay, it's probably just, you know, more Japanese heroic spirits, which I don't know incredibly. I don't know much about, you know, Japanese folklore or history, to be honest. But you know, when you find out that like Saber is King Arthur, Berserker is Hercules, like, you know, all that sort of stuff, I'm like, oh, damn, let's go. Like,
real quick, I want to say, I told you about this. I watched like a 3.5 hour long video breaking down the entire Greek mythology before rewatching Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, and after doing that, I'm like, holy shit, makes me think that the Matrix is real, because now I'm like seeing the characters that I now actually know about from myth and legend and history, like Hercules, like when Archer, or not Archer, I'm sorry. We haven't talked about him yet, but I'll just say his noble phantasm is directly related to actual Hercules' legend, his lore of like the 12 labors that he had to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to ask you these questions because I just want to know real quick. In Unlimited Blade Works alone, would you agree that Rin is, the waifu, the best girl of it, or are you more on the Saber side?
No, I'm not on the Saber side. I never saw Saber as a waifu in either Unlimited Blade Works or Heaven's Feel. Even in Heaven's Feel, I knew it was the Sakura route, but I was like, Rin could pull this off. Yes, I really like Rin's character. I think
upon this rewatch, I fucking fell for Rin so hard because she is very much the girl that I definitely wanted, which was the take charge. Like, we're gonna go out, and it's like, what do you mean? Like, on a date? She's like, yeah, we're gonna go out on a date, and then she's like dragging him along, sets up the picnic. I thought the picnic scene was, I know it's like so not fits the pace of the show, but it was such a good episode because it shows that Rin is not as like tsundere as you thought, because she's not. She's like only somewhat tsundere, but in the very beginning you think, oh, she's very tsundere, but by that picnic episode you're like, she actually has way more depth and is actually caring. And when they're arguing with each other, it just shows Saber just eating. I thought that was a very cute scene for Saber because she's just enjoying the food.
Yeah.
Reminds me reminds me of Remy from Ratatouille when he's so hungry that he's eating and he's not even paying attention to it. Whatever. I love when things are happening and someone's just eating and they're not paying attention. It was very cute. But yeah, Rin is just so good.
And a lot of what Rin did, as far as trying to keep Shiro safe, made sense because this was the Rin route, right? So this is like, she has feelings for him. He confesses his feelings for her. And so now there's like a romantic obligation to keep Shiro safe. So
it's funny at times when you're watching it, you're like, oh yeah, definitely feels like a visual novel, like a dating sim. Like, that's what I like about the show, is that if you don't know that it's a game, it's just an anime. But if you know that it's a game, you start to see the fact that it
it's like the confession. It's like the confession under the stars. That's like, okay, we just copy pasted this from the visual novel. You think,
exactly.
Right? And so there's Shinji with Ryder, right? And Ryder just gets fucking owned. This in Unlimited Blade Works, which, watching Unlimited Blade Works, it's like, wow, you suck. And then you watch Heaven's Feel and you're like, damn.
Yeah.
Carry, like, MVP.
I was gonna say, in Heaven's Feel, Ryder is.
No, so that's really cool because the servants are like very, like people. More servants get kind of the spotlight in different routes. So Unlimited Blade Works. Ryder gets owned, and Caster's kind of the main villain for the and the sensei, who's Caster's master, is like really cool as well, just like very stoic, but like just kicks the shit out of Emiya.
Yeah, he's such a Larry, dude. He's such a Larry. Like when I saw him, I was like, this guy's Larry for sure.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And so I thought that was pretty cool, where the whole thing was like, I think it was that Caster was like basically branded as a witch, and just like didn't find didn't find true love or something like that, because I know when they like died, she was like, my wish was already fulfilled being here with you.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you want me
and
to explain that real quick?
yeah,
So, Castor is the heroic spirit of Princess Medea from Greek lore as well. There were a lot of Greek characters in Unlimited Blade Works specifically. That's Princess Medea, who Medea was. She basically was the one to help Jason, the hero Jason, and the 12 Argonauts find the Golden Fleece, which amassed in like all that history that happened like with her and one of the apostles for God, what's her name? Athena. So Medea, basically in actual history, she killed her own brother to help the hero Jason, and that is why she's branded as a witch, because she was a sorceress who killed her own brother. And what happened is that once she helped Jason get what he wanted, he came back, they were in love, and then he leaves her for someone else. That's the history of it. And she was so tormented by that, because she did all this. She killed her brother, she did all these things for Jason, and Jason ended up leaving her for another woman, for a different princess, basically. So that is how it ties into Unlimited Blade Works. Castor's character is that she's branded as a witch. She killed her own family. I think in the show it said that she killed her sister or something, and that's why love is like such a big thing with her, because she got rejected after doing so much work. That's why I love that I watched that whole fucking video and then watched these again, because I had no idea who Medea was the first time I watched it.
yeah. So that was
Well,
really
history.
cool.
Blah, blah.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. No, I appreciate that. And so I thought that whole thing was interesting because, Castor seemed like she, like, causing all of the, gas leaks, basically just taking magical energy from people, and then attempting to harness it. I thought assassin that she had, basically summoned was really cool. Very like, because it didn't feel like an assassin to me. It felt like more samurai-esque type stuff, which I was like, huh, this is interesting.
That's the key difference between watching Unlimited Blade Works before Fate Zero, because he is for sure not an assassin type. If you've seen Fate Zero first, you're like, this does not fit the role of assassin at all, because of what you and you got a glimpse of it in Heaven's Feel as well. But like, right. I did like that they filled the role how they could. I thought it was so confusing the first time I watched it, how Castor was like, oh yeah, I summoned my own servant and now I'm a master too. I was like, that's fucking cheating, bro.
I was like, that seems weird. And then she has that jagged Z blade, and I was like, oh, this weapon is broken. Like,
yeah,
this is the
super broken, dude.
I was like, this is the most broken noble phantasm out there. Like,
literally called the rule breaker. Like, that's literally what it's called.
It's the screw the rules, I have money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, microtransactions for the win. Yeah.
What is this, Holy Grail War run by EA? What the fuck?
Yeah, oh my god. God, I wish I was an animator. I would totally make that. That's funny. But yeah, so Castor, yeah. And the whole shrine thing.
And, surprising theme in Fate Stay Night stuff. Saber gets taken. It's like, alright, this time, she's in like she was in like a wedding dress type style thing, and I was so confused, because I was like, what is happening here? Why is she in this dress?
So
why is she
it was in that
armor?
moment that you realized, oh, that's right, Fate was created from an adult game. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know if you do that, but the first Fate product was...
yeah, I eventually found out that Fate, the first product was Arrowgay. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I saw that and I was like, oh yeah. Yeah, she's like in the position, like it just like
Yeah, she's
like
like
sweating.
this, and
Yeah. I was like, bro.
I was like, what the fuck? This is some weird fan service, but okay, I
Yeah.
guess. Um,
Still take Rin over her, but yeah.
well, yeah, 100%. Um, and then the whole, like Archer's a traitor, um, and then he, takes out Caster, and then her master, and then he's like, then Rin's like, good job, Archer, and Archer's like, I'm gonna kill you, Shira, and then Rin's like, huh?
The Pikachu.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
He's like, it just knocks out Rin, and it's like, you have a day.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah. That caught me completely off guard too, of him just betraying Rin.
Me too. I was like, what? And he's just like cold with it too. He's like, you're not my master anymore.
Yeah.
What
the
was
hell?
like, God damn. Okay.
God damn.
That's some crazy stuff right there.
Yeah.
Oh, completely glossed over because I just love the Archer stuff so much. The whole Gilgamesh stuff.
Yes.
Where
Pretty boy.
Okay, so I've watched the first 3 episodes of Fate Zero, and Gilgamesh's name has been mentioned in episode 3. And so I was like,
in Stay Night, they don't call him Gilgamesh like throughout the whole thing. They call him Goldie or Goldie Boy.
Right. Yeah, until the end.
Until the end, yeah.
Yeah. And so seeing what Gilgamesh looks like in Zero versus what he looks like in Unlimited Blade Works. See, this is why I like this watch order, because now my curiosity is peaked to like the highest degree.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what happened in Zero? Like, is this the same Gilgamesh? Because he has the same Noble Phantasm. And his hair's was spiky in Zero, but now it's down in Stay Night. So what's going on?
I almost spoiled something for you right there. Then sorry. Okay.
R.I.P. Iliasfeel.
Yeah.
And Berserker, man. That's another great fight too. The Berserker versus Gilgamesh stuff.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about, but I didn't want to jump too far ahead. That fight where he's like, Hercules with your 12 favors. I know that that's your Noble Phantasm, so I just have to kill you 12 times.
Right.
And he like does, and then when he's like, cool, that's it, you're done, and tries to kill her, and he just breaks out of it for one last try, and he's like, no, stop.
It like caught Gilgamesh off guard.
Yeah.
And
he's OP, dude. He's so OP.
Dude, it's like fucking Joey summoning the Gearfried the Iron Knight in the Merrick duel, where Merrick's like, "Why aren't you dead?" And Joey's like, "I can win this," and then dies.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, like Gilgamesh, I'm just gonna refer to him as Gilgamesh the whole time, because now you know that that's who he is. So broken. Like, just imagine that somehow Caster used Rule Breaker on him, then she would be broken. But that there's no way that she could ever do that to him, because he's just most broken.
So Gilgamesh is the whale of this
3-0.
game. Yeah, he's the whale of Fate. What he did was he applied for like 5 different credit cards and swiped them all, and then opened up all of the Noble Phantasms, and then was just like, cool, I win.
Yeah. Yep.
I have won the game.
But doesn't that mean, because of his Noble Phantasm, is that he owns everything? Like, everything, he sees everything that ever exists his property, like that he owns it, and he just lets people use it until he doesn't want them to anymore, and then they try to fight back to him. So
yeah, I mean,
wouldn't he also have Rule Breaker? Wouldn't he also have that dagger if he owns everything? I know. So. It's just a theory, because I know that the noble phantasms and the objects are specific to the heroic spirit, not the hero that they are from in legend, because she doesn't have that weapon in the lore. That's just something that's given to her as a noble phantasm.
Yeah. And there's also, for me, since I haven't watched all of Zero, there's, I guess, a relationship between Gilgamesh and Kotomine that has yet to be explored. It is revealed, obviously, in Unlimited Blade Works that Kotomine kills Tosca's dad. So,
darn. Which you hadn't known that, you know? Because, like, that's such a big, like, I just saw that a few episodes ago. It's like, that was huge when I first saw it. I was like, oh, you know? Like,
it was so funny, because I was like, I maybe this was just because I was so tired when I was watching this, but episode 2 at the end of it, or I think it's the end of episode 1, beginning of episode 2, he like tells Assassin, he's like, go and kill Tosca, right? And then obviously Gilgamesh just destroys Assassin, and I was like, well, when he said that, I was like, oh man, he's gonna kill him already? That's crazy. And then I was like, wait a minute, no, they're working together. This is a setup. They set this up. Why did I think he was gonna die so early? Matt, you're an idiot. Like, you know.
I believe that is episode 2. Yeah, because the first episode, as well as Unlimited Blade Works, are like 45 minutes.
I also love how Kiritsugu's like, nah, this is fake.
Yeah,
like...
this is not real. And everybody else is like, oh, did you hear? Assassin's dead. Wow, can't believe, you know, Servant already got taken out this early, you know? It's like, yeah, that is kind of unbelievable, huh?
Sus, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, alright, back to where we're at with Unlimited Blade Works. It's so easy to hop around with this stuff too, which is, I love it. So yeah, RIP Berserker, RIP Iliasville. So now what we got? We've got Caster, we've got Ryder, and we've got Berserker dead. Assassin's, you know, not really there. So we've got Archer, Saber, and Lancer left. And you know, my boy Lancer coming in.
I knew it. I knew you were a Lancer fan.
Dude, I love Lancer in Unlimited Blade Works. It's fucking cool. Man, he's just like, he's a sick character. I did like the Lancer Archer fight too. His Noble Phantasm is sick.
Could you remind me of it again, because I'm watching Zero, so I like my brain. What was his?
It was like Gale Rogue.
Well, they're gay, GAE. All the spears from that time are GAE, gay.
It's like Gay Rogue, then I think.
But like, what was the ability again? I can't remember. Oh yeah. When he throws it, he can pierce through the heart. Like, it will always find the heart. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So sick, dude. Just like the power up, and when he's about to do it, and then Archer just shielding it, like just doosh, 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 and it like breaks through all the layers. It's like
dude, Archer's the only guy who can make a flower shield look manly. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
It's fucking cool, man.
Also, just so jacked. Just so, like, the black that he wears doesn't hide anything. It just actually accentuates the abs and the rips that he has. I'm just like, bro, humongous.
It's like, dude, chill. Come on. Like, we gotta live out here. Like,
yeah. To quote Rick and Morty, he's got those cum dumpsters for sure.
That's right. So yeah, my boy Lancer comes in and just absolutely, you know, helps out Rin and Shiro. You know, I love his relationship with Rin too, where he's like, you know, I like girls like you, but you know, be like older, and then we'd have, you know, that I'd be interested.
Yeah.
And you know, when Kotomine reveals himself to be Lancer's master, and that whole thing happens, and now he's working with Shinji, which I was just like, ugh, gross.
Yeah.
And Lancer knocks Shinji out,
Yep.
and I was like, let's go, Lancer,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
guy. And then Kotomine is like, kill yourself, Lancer, and I
Oh.
was like, no, no,
Yeah.
you can't do that. That's cheating. You
Yeah.
can't use command skills for that. That's no.
Yeah.
And then
He's got plenty of command seals. He's fine.
yeah, and then when Lancer stabs Kotomine, I was like, yay, he's
Yeah.
dead. Good job. And then he like fakes his death, and then Shinji's like, now I'm gonna do things to you, Rin, and then
Yeah.
Lancer's like,
He's just like look, gives
oh, yeah,
him like
just
a
gives him
little cut. He's like,
yeah.
ah! He like runs off like a little bitch. Yeah. I've been stabbed, and it's like, dude, you got at most a splinter.
He got pricked. That's what he was.
Yeah.
But that's what
Yeah.
Shinji was, a fucking prick. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and he's like, man, and Lancer's like dying, and he's like, I could only imagine like what it would have been like if we were partnered up together. He's like, come and find me when you're a little bit older, and then he dies.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh.
dude, that
My
was
man.
an 07 right there. I was just like,
Yeah.
I was like, rest in peace, Lancer. You've earned a well-needed break.
Yeah. Also, I love that his hair reminds me of Polnareff from JoJo's, with the like tall, flat, but still a ponytail
Sure.
somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I
and
knew you
then
would like Lancer too. I knew you
Dude,
would like him.
Lancer's sick. And then so now we just have Archer and Saber, right? And then Gilgamesh. So
And
there's
Assassin.
the whole, yeah, but
Yeah.
but not really.
Yeah.
And so
Nice try, punk.
yeah. Shinji goes. I love that Shinji goes to Gilgamesh and is like, "You promised me the Holy Grail," and he's like, "Oh no, I can still make you the Holy Grail." And Shinji's like, "What?" And he's
Yeah.
just like,
Just
right.
bubbles up. I was
Yeah.
like, man, it was so satisfying. I no empathy, no pity.
I was like, cool, they're just gonna destroy this thing with Shinji, my man. And then Rin's like, I'm gonna save Shinji. I was like, no,
Just let him die.
don't do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
let him die. I will say, so getting into sort of the end of Unlimited Blade Works, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that I love about Archer 2 and their voice actor as well, is a lot of the times, and this isn't coming from, I think, Japanese voice actors when they speak in English, it sounds bad. I think it sounds good, basically, most of the time. I just find it funny. When, you're watching a Japanese anime, and then all of a sudden you hear like there's an American that comes in or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, the one that I'm thinking of is like Kuroko no Basket. Like, there are Americans that come in, and then you you hear English, and you're like, oh, that's pretty funny,
Yeah.
But
Or
like
the best of all, Old Man Joseph.
Oh yeah, of
Oh
course.
my God! Holy shit! Yeah.
But like, when you hear Archer and he's like, I am the bone of my sword. Oh.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. My guy's like, he's killing it. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were like a couple times when he said Unlimited Blade Works, it sounded a little funny. But for the most part of just all of the English stuff that he says, I was like, this is cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. Very, very, very good voice actor, and even in English, he's probably the best, if not the second best, English voice actor.
Yeah, I'd say that as well.
Kotomine also. I don't remember I remember Archer's voice in Japanese, but I don't remember Kotamine's voice in Japanese. But in English,
It,
very very
it
good voice actor.
it's good. The
Yeah.
voice actor for Kotamine. Now knowing what I do based off of Heaven's Feel and parts of Zero, very good voice for the type of character he is. Um, and so you get into that stuff and the whole fucking Shiro, man. Just because you're correct doesn't mean you're right. I was like, I had to pause it at that line, and I was like, bruh, what the hell kind of like shower thoughts bullshit is this? Like, I get the statement. Like, it's
No, dude.
absolutely a correct statement.
That's
but
big brain. That's big brain. He's like, just because you're right doesn't mean that you're right. No, that's a big brain move. He's like, you're right, but you're wrong. I don't care how right you are, but you're still wrong because I'm right. And he's like, well, all right, dude, for sure. You could have worded it better, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, the whole, like, Archer versus Shiro thing basically boiled down to like, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong.
Yeah.
All right, I guess I'm wrong. And Archer just kind of gives.
Dude, I mean, his line, him breaking down, like, I mean, on that, I don't want to just say like him breaking down why Shiro's wrong, but the way that he says it is so, like, the first time I watched it, I was reading it, so I understood, but rewatching it in English, I was like, damn, like, he's really schooling him, but is still wrong. Like, in the grand scheme of things, Archer's wrong in that conflict, right? But what he's saying is so true and so right. But he's still wrong, you know, as far as plot goes. But it's just like what he says was so. I hadn't thought about ideals and dreams and actions, and I hadn't thought about that stuff so deeply because it's not something that I really understand. But when I heard him talk about it, I was like, hold on, I need to go back and re-listen to this because my man's straight spitting facts. Like he's really telling him. He's giving it to him.
No, I mean he wasn't a. I mean, I wouldn't even classify. You could make an argument that Archer was a villain, but he wasn't like anywhere similar to like what Gilgamesh was trying to do, right? With bringing, you know,
or Caster,
or Caster with like bringing the destruction of the, you know, Holy Grail back into the world. Just kind of being like, I'm gonna factory reset the world with the Grail.
Right.
And it's like, oh, no, don't do that.
No. Yeah. Archer was really just out for himself, and that was his whole point. He said that so many times. He was like, I only do things for me. Like, so he wasn't really a villain. He was just in the wrong. You know, he was only doing things for himself.
Which, like, embodies all of the decisions that Shiro makes so much. Because, like, he sacrifices himself for other people, yes, but he does it very selfishly. Like, when you have no regard for your own, like, for your own care and your own, like, you know, staying alive, like, he doesn't realize how him putting himself in danger, you know, affects Saber, affects, you know, his friends, affects Rin. Like, there are people that care about you, dude. Please stop doing shit, this stupid shit all of the time. Like, you're tearing this family apart. Yes. Like, so get a grip and care about yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, so that whole Archer Shiro stuff gets resolved, and then, dude, when Saber busts out the Excalibur, and I finally realized that, oh shit, I didn't think that she was King Arthur because, you know,
it's a girl.
Think King Arthur, dude, Saber, girl, but she's like, you know, busts out the Excalibur. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just destroys the Grail. It's like, oh damn, hell
Yeah.
yeah, that's sick. We we respect that, Saber. We like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
And what's great is that, unfortunately, I mean, we're already at 50 minutes, but we still have to talk about Heaven's Feel and a little bit of Zero. But I'll mention Zero real quick. You will see. You will see in Fate Zero why I think Fate Zero like should have gotten the praise that Demon Slayer episode whatever 19 did first season, because Excalibur, her using Excalibur in Fate Zero it's insane. It's insane because you only see it once in Unlimited Blade Works, but you might see it more than once in Fate Zero. Who knows?
sounds like a few times, but we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see about that. Yeah,
So-
I really like that because for Zero, you get told right away that this person's King Arthur. It's like episode 2. But on Unlimited
Yeah.
Blade Works, you don't figure it out until like near the end.
Yeah.
And that made that moment so much cooler for me, where I was like kind of piecing together like, who is Saber? Like,
Mhm.
who does this girl represent? Like, is it like a Joan of Arc type thing? Like, are we, like
so funny
doing?
you say
Yeah, I mean,
it's just funny that you say Joan of Arc. But
yeah.
I will say real quick because we got to move on. But two things. One, there are things in Fate Zero that I wish you saw first, but there are also things in Fate Stay Night that I'm glad that you saw first, like the King Arthur thing, because that is right off the bat. They assume that you've seen Fate Stay Night when you watch Fate Zero. They assume that you already know the story.
Last thing on Unlimited Blade Works, and this is my gripe with it. You develop the romance between Shiro and Rin that much, and all you're gonna give us is a fucking handshake at the end of this? No. Ufotable? Fuck you. I don't care about your gorgeous animation or your fantastic soundtrack.
Do you mean in the
Everything
epilogue?
else? Yes, in the epilogue. They just shake hands. There's no hug. There's no kiss. There's nothing. You gave me nothing.
Bro, they were naked. They were naked in a bed before when
Yeah,
she
but-
transferred when
Yeah,
she
but
gives
they
him the
transferred
magic.
the magical energy, but they didn't show that.
Dude, like, come on, like, because he's her apprentice, they have to keep a balance,
So dominate.
I don't know.
Dominate him.
Okay, I didn't know what you were talking about. I thought you meant like a handshake between like Archer and Shiro or something. I didn't know what you
dude.
meant, and then
No, between Ran and Shiro, man, I would have taken a hug, would have taken a kiss, would have taken a I love you, any of those I would have been happy with.
that's
The
how I felt
handshake,
about Bunny Girl Senpai. When Bunny Girl Senpai ended and they just didn't even kiss, I was like, well, fuck you. I watched this whole thing just for that. You're not gonna give it to me. Awesome.
Trust me, I also felt the same way.
Yeah.
But that's my gripe with Unlimited Blade Works. Overall, think it's great. I'd give it like a 9.
Yay! Let's go. Awesome. Well, Heaven's Feel, the 3 fucking 2-hour
Wow!
movie.
Such
Holy
a
shit.
different feel!
So
Holy shit!
different. And this was my first time watching Heaven's Feel. I hadn't watched them before. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
even know they existed. So when I'm watching them, I'm like, oh, so is it retelling what I already watched? Are we getting a Demon Slayer movie right now? Like, what the fuck? And then it just fucking shifts. 100% shifts when he fights Shiro just announces himself immediately. I'm like, okay, this is obviously different. So I paused it, looked it up. I was like, what is Heaven's Feel? I literally typed in, what is Heaven's Feel?
Yeah.
And that's when I found out it's based on the game that has 3 different routes. This is one of those possible routes. And all 3 routes are technically canon because of how the story works.
Because of the visual novel, yeah.
Way fucking darker way
Yeah,
darker.
dude, crazy. I was like, okay, that was my thing, right? Because like the beginning of the movie is the beginning of the first movie is basically the start of the anime, right?
Right.
Where it's like, okay, they're at school, they're fighting, like
Lancer, yeah.
Lancer stab, yeah,
Yeah.
summon saber, you know,
Get
whatever.
kebabbed.
Yeah. But then you have, oh, and then you know, Shiro fights Shanji, and
Yeah.
then Ryder just gets immediately destroyed.
Yeah.
Or so you think. And
Which is so sick. She's
yeah.
like, go, because Ryder is the fastest, and she's like the most like crazy fucking servant, and then Saber's just like,
nah, get shit on.
Yeah. Done. One hit,
and then
and then you're introduced to a character that you don't see in Unlimited Blade Works, which is
right.
Shio, Zia, whatever.
It's like It's like Jozen. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
Explosion. It's
Mato.
Yeah, Mato. The elder of the Mato family.
Right.
And I was like, this guy sus. You know, right off the cuff,
Super
based
evil.
off how they looked, I was just like,
Super
you're,
evil.
you're evil, 100%. I didn't know how evil he was, but I came to learn how evil he was. And then you meet the real assassin.
Yes.
And assassin just bodies Caster and the senpai just like off the cuff. And I was like, you're killing at a master servant combo in the first 30 minutes of the movie? God
Yeah.
damn.
When literally Caster was like the first half's antagonist of all of Unlimited Blade Works, it was built up so high, and then it's just like, no, they're not part of this story. Let's get rid of them.
So I was like, shit, that's crazy. Okay.
That's crazy.
And then, you know, Lancer chases after Assassin, and I'm like, my boy Lancer, gonna get it done, you know, and he did not. Nope. He got jebaited into following Assassin, and then found out that, hey, there's this weird red and black looking thing, and it's gonna absorb you. And I was like, that's
he got shafted. Yeah, he got shafted for sure.
He got Yamcha'd. That's what he got.
For real. Yeah.
I was disappointed.
Wow, way to bring up another best character of the series. Dude, hell yeah. Let's go. Love the comparison. I love Yamcha, okay? I'm just gonna say.
I don't want to get into that because we're low on time. But yeah, so like the first hour of the movie, I'm like, Ryder's dead, Caster's dead, Lancer's dead. Wow, they are moving quick. And real assassin is scary as opposed to this, you know, fake assassin. That
we didn't even really touch on that much, but he wasn't the sword and the ability was a real thing, but was a
it's
folklore.
It's folklore, yeah.
But the actual person that he was a real person, but they were separate stories to who he really was. So he wasn't even a real. So. Yeah. Which makes sense why real assassin came in and was just like, get out of here. Yeah.
You did.
Yeah. You didn't mention that. 2 servants and a master all in one go.
Assassin's Noble Phantasm also broken. Too.
The fake assassin?
Ability. No, real assassin.
Oh, okay. Fake Assassin's Noble Phantasm was also really fucking dope, but
that was also really cool with like the sword,
the 3 slashes,
the mirrored, it was very cool. So we have like 3 real servants dead in like the first hour of the first movie. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay, sure. And so we have Rin once again helping Shiro, which this time I get less because Shiro, you know, is not showing feelings for Rin this time. he's showing feelings for Sakura.
Right.
And I could understand Ran wanting to, help protect, her sisters,
Don Don Don.
yeah,
Their
dun dun
sisters, yeah.
dun, which, Sakura wasn't really explored much in Unlimited Blade Works, but obviously
Right.
Heaven's Feel is her shit.
Yeah.
So
It's all
didn't know
about
that
her,
they
yeah.
were sisters before. Now I'm like, what's up with that? And obviously the first episode of Zero explains that more,
Yeah.
where it's like, oh damn, Sakura's gone through some shit. And
We're not even on the second movie. Like, Sakura
no, we
has
aren't
gone
even-
through some shit.
Sakura's gone through some shit. And so Sakura starts showing up to Shiro's house more. They begin developing that relationship together. And then there's the once again, Shiro's just getting bodied after bodied after bodied by everybody.
It's funny. So you mentioned that in Unlimited Blade Works, and I was gonna say he doesn't get bodied nearly as much or as brutally as he does in Heaven's Feel, because when Berserker just hits him and you just see like the silhouette of like his guts fucking spilling out and he just like tumbles off.
Dude, because once again he jumps in front of Saber for no fucking reason, and just gets sliced in half basically. But now he has regenerative powers instead of the sort of trace on type stuff where you can just summon weapons, which I'm like, okay, so different powers this time.
When you watch Fate Zero, you'll understand why.
Sure.
Why?
So he's different in this.
He's different. Yeah, he's different.
Yeah, he
for
feels
worse.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the scene where they chase after Assassin, and then this is towards the end. So the Maoto Elder, they basically just like beat up Shiro just for the lulz. And
That's what you do.
Saber falls into the same trap that Lancer did, where she gets basically assimilated into this red and black monstrosity thing, which if you don't know what it is at this point. And then Shiro's all alone at the end of the first movie. And it's like, oh no, Saber gets taken again. Who would have fucking guessed that, right? And then Shiro's alone. Second movie starts, right? And it's like, all by myself. Except they're not, because you know what? You've got Sakura. And
That's right.
Sakura's here for her senpai, which she says over 100 times, I feel like, in all of these films.
Well, you watch it in Japanese, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. She doesn't say senpai, obviously, in English all the time.
Well, she says it a lot in Japanese. And so that relationship deepens now, and it deepens a lot more. It does.
To a point where I was like, "Whoa, are they really about to do this?" Like, as far as the anime goes, I was like, "Are they really about to like go full send?"
Well, that when the scene where she's like, "I'm low on magical energy," I was like, because in in Unlimited Blade Works, it's like you mentioned that Ran and Shiro basically cuddle naked. I was like, oh, this is a movie. Oh, they're 100% gonna fuck. Like, and instead it's like, can I bite your bloody finger? And I was like, no.
Can I have some of your blood? And full send, just the face, the mouth, the saliva. I was like,
dude, the fucking saliva and then the steam off of the mouth. I was like, dude, some animator had such a good time with this. Like,
again, reminds you where Fate started, you know?
Right. Yep.
Go Type Moon. Hell yeah. Type Moon is the creator of the Fate series.
And then, obviously, like, the second movie was like, Sex Sells. That was the Sex Sells movie, because there's the whole Sakura low on energy and she like falls to the ground and she starts like touching herself.
Yeah.
There's the whole she goes into Shiro's bedroom and just
Takes off her clothes. Yeah.
clothes.
Oh, the
Um,
classic, the best, if you will, the hug from behind.
yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that what the teacher that owns that is the landlady basically that's always there, she's like, you know, she has e-cups, right? And after that, the whole time after that, that's in the first movie. After that, the whole time I'm just like, oh, she's got e-cups, and then it like does the whole like hug from behind. I'm like, those are e-cups.
Hey, did you know that those are e-cups?
Yeah. Did you know that those are badonkers? Yeah, and then they do that, and I was like, ooh, he really
and then they
just
do
like...
the stuff, but then it's a glitch in the Matrix, and she glitches, the shadow glitches, and it's like Shiro's like, I don't know about this one. And then come to find out that Sakura is the red and black blob thing, and it's like, oh, okay,
yeah,
that's scary.
Yeah, when she goes into Alice in Wonderland in her own mind, and then it just cuts back to reality, and she's just in an alley covered in blood, and they're just dead people. I'm just like, this is not the character that I thought. Like, before the movies, you think of Sakura as such a different character, as like a pitiful, like, she needs to be protected, you know, she's sweet, she's gone through so much, leave her be, you know, like, she deserves happiness. And then you watch these and you're like, oh, all that fucked up shit actually went the other way, where it affected her to the point where she's not a recluse, she is actually terrifying. And yeah, with the shadow glitching and all that, I was like, yikes, this is getting scary.
Yeah,
I will,
mean,
and that's the second movie. So
yeah, so
before the end of the second movie, Shiro, like, I liked in the movies how Shiro and Kotomine have a relationship that is completely different from Unlimited Blade Works, where Shiro seeks Kotomine out for information, for help, to talk, right? Like, at first, when Rin first brings him, once he becomes a master. And then Kotomine is like, summons Shiro to the restaurant or whatever, and he's just eating, you know, he's steaming, he's eating food, he's just talking to him.
His jacket and he's like jacked, and I'm like, what the hell, man? That's not
There's just
fair.
steam coming off of him. Yeah. And in that scene, I wanted to make a note. In that scene, that's when I was like, this is probably the best version of Kotomine in the Stay Night series. Again, I haven't watched the original. I will probably watch it because I'm a completionist, and knowing that it's a game and it's 3 different routes, I kind of want to watch it just to know how it's different. But in Stay Night, I liked him more in the movies than in Unlimited Blade Works, because he's actually a guy, you know, he's like actually a dude, right? That,
yeah, I mean, he doesn't really do much in Unlimited Blade Works, whereas Heaven's Feel, you definitely feel his presence more.
Yeah.
So second movie, a couple other things to point out. We learn that Sakura is actually Rider's master and that Shinji is not. Fuck you, Shinji, you're a piece of shit.
Oh, dude, when Rider whispers in Shiro's ear, like, endurance, it will depict the winner or whatever, and then
how Rider like
drops.
kicks, pushes Shiro over so that Shiro can knock the shit out of Shinji. Like, I was like, my man.
Yeah,
all right.
And then he's like, how did you survive that? Just drops the Trace On book. He's like, Sakura, let me use Rider's, and she's like, no. No.
And then Shinji's like, okay, I'm gonna ruin my sister's life, and like crushes the thing. And then once again, Shiro does the stupid thing of jumping in front of Rin, and that little like blob of magical energy just like plops out, and he gets stabbed. And I'm like, God damn it, Shiro, you're gonna die one of these days. Except you're not, because you're the main character.
I feel like your favorite part of Fate Zero is going to be that Shiro's not in it. I feel like that's going to be your favorite part. Yeah, so you're right. I forgot, because I watched them all at once. I forget what happens in what movie. But Yeah, so that happens. We find out that Ryder is. Well, we also find out who Ryder is. Because in Unlimited Blade Works, we never learn who Ryder is.
Yeah, Ryder being Medusa is so cool. Like, it's fucking sick, man. I was like, oh, everybody's being petrified? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
then
her eyes, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Ryder is not only the MVP of Heaven's Feel, like throughout all of it, but also I like Ryder more than anybody else in the movies. She's bad as fuck, bro. She's hot, and
Ryder,
like she.
Ryder is best servant for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say something so definitive as that, but you said it, and I'm agreeing with you.
I think Ryder is best servant in Heaven's Feel for sure. Like hands down, that's no argument. You can make I can make a argument for Lancer in Unlimited Blade Works.
In Unlimited Blade Works, yeah, but not
right.
in
not in Heaven's Feel. No. Ryder, best servant, Heaven's Feel, period.
Oh, you mean Lancer, best servant in Unlimited Blade Works?
I like him the best, and you could make an argument for it, but
I'm not disparaging your like of him being your favorite, but him being the best. I mean, I think Archer really.
It's an argument you could make, but Archer, yeah, is probably there. Couple other points to hit on in the second movie before we move on to the third one. Is then you get to meet. I don't know what it's called, but I don't want to say Black Saber, but it's like Anti-Saber.
Oh,
or
Dark
like,
Saber, yeah,
Dark Saber, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just cue the Darth Vader music whenever she's summoned.
I for sure thought that when that face mask fell off, that she would be free. Like, I thought that was the whole point, like, because it kept alluding to it cracking, you know, and the tension built up, and the music, and the fighting's happening, and the mask finally falls off, and nothing happens. You just see her dark eyes, and she's still under the control. I was like, no! Oh! Free Saber!
So we see Saber versus Berserker, or Dark Saber versus Berserker. Man, what a cool fight as well.
Oh, so dope.
Sick.
So dope, dude.
And then Berserker gets assimilated into Sakura, and I'm like, no, don't do that, please.
My actually, I changed my mind. I think Berserker is the best servant in Unlimited Blade Works, specifically.
Sure. That feels like an argument you can make.
It's such a Grog and Pike type aesthetic that I love, like the big, huge, scary, bulky with like the tiny little girl, you know, and like the protection, you know. I love that. And I love Hercules.
Yeah, I mean, Herc's a G, you know.
Yeah. Zero to hero.
And then there's the whole Archer fight with Sakura, basically. Again, using the flower shield, which is sick. And then the part where, you know, Archer regenerates, and for me, that was cool. Lauren actually watched the second movie, and only the second movie.
I'm sure she was lost.
She was lost. I gave a very basic explanation, but when we got to the regen part, she was like, "Hey, that Shiro guy has that as well," and I was like,
"Yeah, you're damn right he does."
Big brain. There we go. And at the end, where, you know, Archer kind of smiles, the hair is down, and he's like, "Goodbye, Rin," and, you know, chops off the arm for Shiro to live. I was like, you know, your impact, you didn't have the same impact as you did in Unlimited Blade Works, but I still feel it, man. Like, You're here. You're here.
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised if you shed a tear or welled up at that moment.
Oh yeah. 100%.
I will be honest, completely missed the part where he cuts off his own arm, which makes the third movie very funny to you, knowing that, because the whole wrapped arm thing, and he's like, "Thank you, Archer." I'm like, why is he thanking Archer? I completely missed that part. I didn't realize that that's what happened, because when I saw that happening, I was like, "Oh, he's assimilated. He's dead. You know, whatever." Yeah, and like, I just kind of moved.
He like has a blade to his arm, and Ryder's like, "You're absolutely insane," and he's like, "I'll at least be able to save one life with this."
Okay.
So, and then Shiro finding out that Sakura is the blob has like, there's a scene where he has the knife over her heart and he just can't do it.
Yeah.
Psycho bitches, am I right?
Yeah. Don't
But
stick your dick in
really,
crazy.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the,
Well. Real quick, a little fast. What I was gonna say, when she comes back, covered in blood, and he's holding her, and he sees the glitch, and he's like, "Don't look at it. Don't think about it. Don't accept it. Don't look at it. Don't think about it."
yeah.
That I was like, "Oh, does he know?" And it's like he's like, "I have known, but I just didn't want to accept it." That kind of thing in anime that they do all the
Well,
time.
also, the Mato Elder tells him that the
Yeah,
shadow
yeah,
is
yeah.
Sakura. So.
Yeah, the Matos, man, they're insane. You can see it in Shinji, you can see it in the Elder. The Matos are fucking crazy, and you'll see even more of the Matos in Zero, which you said you watched the first 3 episodes, so you do know about the thing that, like,
Yes.
when I first saw it, I was like, yo, this little girl, yikes, and this dude, her uncle, right, he's the man, he's the G, he's my favorite, because he's there to save Sakura, who's being molested by bugs, for 12 hours. That blew my mind. I was like, yo, this is dark.
Also, talk about, one of the best parts of the movie, Shinji's death. Finally, somebody killed him. Thank God.
Poetic justice too. That it was Sakura. Yeah. Didn't know that that's what was happening too. Had no idea. When she said that she had been violated, right, and like was not a virgin and she'd been violated, I thought it just meant the bugs, right?
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
And then it shows Shinji doing that, and she's like, "No more. I don't want to do this anymore." And he's like, he like finishes, right? Like it doesn't show, but like you could tell he's finished. He's like, "And you know what? I'm gonna tell Shiro that you've been wanting this from me all along and over again, and we're constantly
and then
coming
there's
to
like
me."
the thought where it's like, I wish he was dead, or I wish he wasn't around, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then there's the slice, and it's like,
She Attack on Titans him, like literally cuts the nape of his neck.
And then she transforms into the,
The white-haired.
the white-haired version, which is cool.
I think the third movie can be summed up pretty fucking quickly though, right? Because it's basically just like one big long fight with one person on one side and then like a bunch of people on the other. Sakura being on the one side, with the exception of the very end, obviously after that whole Sakura thing. But
yeah, I mean, the points that I want to make on the third movie.
Sure.
We know Sakura's a jealous bitch. Like, it is very established at this point. Shiro, why did you run to Rin when she was injured in front of Sakura? You dumb fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
because he wants to help everybody.
You're so stupid. Like, this guy is just an actual idiot. Iliasfeel is huge in this movie.
Right.
Also,
so who was actually the Holy Grail? Was it Sakura or was it Ilia? Like,
right.
Were they both?
Kotomine, absolute badass in this movie. Absolute badass.
So dope.
Fucking destroys the Mato Elder and destroys Assassin. I was like, God damn. And now that I know that Kotomine is Assassin's Master in Zero, it's like very poetic to like see him destroy what he once had. And I was like, okay, my guy's like, he killed a Mato Elder with God.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, straight up.
It was
Dude,
crazy.
he like, that's like really the biggest part for me. Like the whole, it was big, it was impactful, it was important. Rin versus Sakura, and then, you know, what happens to Rin, and then Shiro versus Sakura. That was all well and good, right? That's what we needed. That's what the whole story was about. That was the end. Or was it? Because it wasn't. Because Kotomine shows up, and then it's like, all right, let's go. Like, let's just use our fists right now and just go at it. And don't take that out of context. But you know, that fight, that was way cooler to me than.
We skipped over another fucking cool fight too, which was Shiro versus Berserker. Like, another great fight that happens there when he begins to unleash some of the potential of Archer's arm.
Oh, yes, and does the giant fucking... Yes! I forgot about that. Holy shit, that was so dope.
Yeah, and then you finally hear words spoken from Berserker where it's just like, protect her at all costs. And it's like, my man, you know, he's out here for Iliasville. He really cares.
The shortest recording session for any character, for real. Like, oh, so who did you voice in Fate? I voiced Hercules, Berserker. Oh yeah, was that good? He's like, I had one line.
I had one line and I screamed a bunch.
Yeah.
And then the middle part is like, it's all lore basically about, like, you know, past holy grails, like, you know, figuring out how this all started, you know, yada yada yada, which it is important, and I did appreciate that about the movie, but we had to get back to the combat, and I think my favorite fight so far out of any Fate Zero stuff that I've watched is Rider versus Darksaber. Man, that
Fate
fight
Zero or Fate series?
Fate series in general.
Oh,
it's just
okay.
Rider versus Darksaber.
Yes.
Dude, what a fucking cool fight. And when Rider summons her Noble Phantasm, it's a Pegasus. I was like, oh my god.
It's so cool. And she like starts petrifying Saber. And it's like, oh, here we go. She got her. You know, like that's it. You know, got petrified. But God, Saber being just too fucking strong.
Also, Shiro finishing Saber off is very
sad.
It's sad, and like,
hey, remember those times where you jumped in front to protect her and you got fucked up, and now you gotta kill her?
Now you stabbed her.
Yeah.
So then Rin and Sakura do their thing, and I love how Sakura like pours out her heart. She's like, I've been used and abused, and Rin's like, so
what? Yeah.
So what?
Get over it. Yeah.
I was like, somebody called 911 because she's just been murdered. God damn.
Yeah. I don't care. Fucking cry about it. She basically just pulled a cry about it.
I thought Rin was really gonna stab Sakura, but then, you know, obviously
you couldn't do it.
She couldn't do it. Which, you know, unlucky. And then Shiro
but that was the point though, because she said all that to like because she saw that Sakura was, you know, fucked up, and like she said that to keep that going until she got close, because she was going to stab her, but then she didn't.
Right.
And that was the point. The point was that she still couldn't do it. So all that cry about it, you know, nonsense was just a lie. Like she was just trying to get it close. Fucked up.
And it's just so interesting. And then, you know, the whole Shiro using the rule breaker to free Sakura. I was like, first off, I was like, oh, she gonna be naked. And then
oh, and guess what? She was naked.
Yeah, she was naked.
Turns out.
And then the whole thing with obviously this revolves around there being like an 8th servant here, where it's just, you know, when Kotomine is like, would you kill the child of a criminal because it's being born by a criminal? It's like, it's like, no, but fuck you. Like, fuck off. Like,
yeah. Hate that question. hate that question, right? It's like the whole it's the whole baby Hitler thing, right? It's like, if you know what it's gonna be, could you take its life as a baby? It's like, dude, come on.
And then we had another amazing fight: Kotomine versus Porcupine Shiro.
Yep,
Incredible, incredible little fight.
so good.
And then I want to bring up a point that I mentioned long ago. So Shiro's abandonment of himself for the sake of others, right?
Right.
Just so stupid if you want to be a hero. But when Iliasfeel comes out in her garb, which I've seen her mother wear in Fate Zero, which I'm like, oh man, like this is gonna. At the time, I was like, wow, this is a very regal outfit. You know, it's so cool. And Ilias feels like, what do you want?
Yeah.
And Shiro's like, I want to live. I was like, thank God, finally, you understand. Like, you have to survive, you know? And, you know, Iliasfeel saves him, and, man, I felt emotions when she was running towards her mom. I was like, oh my God, I am just, I'm deceased. That's so cute. Iliasfeel gets second MVP for that one. Or no, we'll say most valuable master for this one.
MVM.
Most valuable servant goes to Ryder. And then and then Shiro's soul gets put into a doll, and we're all good.
Yeah. Is that what happened? I was a little confused at the ending. I was like,
yeah.
What just happened?
So
because he's not around.
No. So he's not around for a minute, but they like have Shiro's soul, I think, and then they have a doll, and then it seems like they put it into the doll because you could see him walking with them, like holding stuff afterwards towards the Sakura festival, and Shiro's there, and it's not like an in-spirit kind of thing. It's like a, hey, I'm physically here.
Yeah, I was confused by that. Also, a little confusing, we didn't touch on, but very important to the story and to the characters, which was brought up in that final Rin and Sakura thing, was Sakura asks him, were you ever in track? Did you ever do track and field or whatever? And he's like, no, I was just always an archer. And they both, and even in Unlimited Blade Works, Rin brings that up too, because when they do the magic ceremony, he sees her watching this boy try to make this jump over and over again. What was that? Was that Shiro? Like,
yeah. So
but he says, no, I've never done any of that stuff. I was just an archer.
Yeah, but that is Shiro. I mean, just because you haven't done track and field doesn't mean, like, I don't know. It's weird.
But like, why was he doing that if he wasn't, like, why was he doing that and then also doesn't recall doing that? Like, if they're asking that question, he should probably remember that that's something that he did at one point.
There's an alternate timeline where he doesn't do that, and neither Rin nor Sakura see it, and then just don't care about you.
Okay. The best timeline.
Yes. I have no idea if that exists, but I'm sure it does.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is like, the main purpose of me bringing that up is when she mentions that and Sakura overhears it behind the door, and she's like,
don't take this from me.
Yeah, why are you stealing my memories? Like, that was mine to have. And she had already told Shiro about that. Now Rin is telling him the same thing, and she's like all fucked up from it because she's like, you're taking this from me as well. You're taking everything from me, you know, my life, the sister, like, all that. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, these movies were insane. I mean, such a good story. I like Rin's. I like Rin more than I like Sakura. But I'd say
you can't deny the E-cups, bro.
I'd say
deny the E-cups.
Sure. I'd say the collective of these movies are like also a 9, maybe a 9.5 for me.
So I was gonna say that I actually like the movies more than Unlimited Blade Works. I like them more than Unlimited Blade Works, but there are things about Unlimited Blade Works that I absolutely love, which is the focus on Rin. Like, Rin's route is better than Sakura's route, but everything that happened in Unlimited Blade Works was like, this is a better progression. This has actual assassin. This has Shiro getting fucked up over and over again.
No,
you know.
Yeah, I would give Heaven's Feel a 9.5. I would put it over Unlimited Blade Works as well. Just thinking about my experience, it was a way different experience, but boy was it fulfilling.
And we'll save Fate Zero for next time. But I do want to say, yeah, I do want to, and I'm about to be done with it, like tonight or tomorrow. But I do want to say that Unlimited Blade Works was the most tame out of all three, which I know you haven't watched Fate Zero, but I'm just stating this as like, this is what you should look forward to when you watch Fate Zero, is that Unlimited Blade Works is the most tame when it comes to dark, right? How dark it gets, how serious it gets. Heaven's Feel is obviously way darker than Unlimited Blade Works, way more fucked up. And Fate Zero is also darker and more fucked up than Unlimited Blade Works, but not for the same reasons that Heaven's Feel is, right? Like, Heaven's Feel is fucked up for obvious reasons, and Fate Zero is fucked up for... it's both psychological, obviously, but there's... the reasoning is different. Like, the things that you'll see in Fate Zero are definitely fucked up in a different kind of way, so depends on how you take things, right? Like, with sexual assault, or, you know, torture, you know, shit like that. When it comes to Heaven's Feel, not as hard to watch for me. Like, I can watch that stuff because I know how bad it is, and like, I can think about it, but it doesn't hit me as hard. For Fate Zero, the psychology of how dark it gets hits me way harder, so I'm interested to see what you think is darker among the two. And last thing I'll say about Fate Zero, for what you have to look forward to, I have a feeling that you're gonna love Lancer again, for sure.
Well, I've seen him now.
Right, but I mean when you complete it, because you know. But I think there's an easy contender for you liking Ryder more than anybody else. But this is my predictions for when you finish it.
So I know a little bit about history, just because it's interesting to me. Ryder is just Alexander the Great, right? Like,
Iskandar, yeah, Alexander the Great,
yeah, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, he's Alexander the Great.
Yeah, so that's really fucking cool.
But in Mesopotamia, you know, Iskandar is what he was referred to. Which, if you, dude, when I watched it and found out he was Alexander the Great, I sat there and looked at both names and was like, Iskandar, Alexander. You know, like, I would say it over and over again. I'm like, yes, it is the same name, but it obviously just sounds different. And also, he's called by humans a different name, which sounds... It kind of certifies it, but you don't really know unless you know.
Caster freaks me out, man. Like, Caster.
Bluebeard, yeah. So,
dude,
so you've seen Caster?
Yeah, I thought he was gonna let that kid go. And
dude.
And then when he was like, fear, just it's like.
The levels of terror are more delicious when hope is right around the corner. Yeah, like when they're on the brink of hope, that terror is the most delicious.
Hope becomes despair, that's when...
Yes, yes. Dude, okay. I didn't know you had seen that.
Yeah.
So fucked up, dude. The animation itself is so fucked up, because you see the kid stand there, and then in a second, he just grabbed and crushed and pulled out. You just hear this kid screaming, and you're like... And the fucking Ryunosuke is like... So cool! Like,
yeah.
Oh, dude. He like has this fucking O face when he says that. He's like, so cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was
That's
like,
that's also super dark, but there's other shit too as well. But that was when I watched Fate Zero for the first time. That was the moment I knew, oh, this show is gonna get dark, and I'm gonna love it.
yeah, I mean, you see Sakura sitting in the pit of insects. Her eyes are just dead. And
Yeah.
I was like, oof,
Yeah.
tough. That sucks.
That's what I had wished. That's one of the things I wish you had seen before Unlimited Blade Works was that character Sakura in that pit. Because if you don't know who she is, you're like, wow, this is really fucked up. And then you watch Unlimited Blade Works and you're like, that's the same girl. That's just holy shit. That's the girl. I'm so glad to see that she's okay. You know, like.
I'm actually fine with the way I saw it because then you don't know that they're siblings, which they say immediately in Fate Zero.
Yeah.
And learning that through Heaven's Feel made it interesting. Where it's like, oh, she's not actually a Mato, she's a Tosaka. And
so that's what I was saying, is that there are things that are better that you hadn't seen Fate Zero first. I don't like that you have been spoiled on Rin's dad's death and Kiritsugu at all. Like, I wish you didn't even know who Kiritsugu was. But it's fair because they don't really... Because, like, in Unlimited Blade Works, it's fine. But in Fate Stay Night, or in Heaven's Feel, Kotomine and Saber both talk about Kotomine a lot more of who he was.
I also, like... I have a drive when I watch stuff based off of questions or like things that are left unknown. So like, so like now for me, with the order that I've watched it in, Fate Zero is very interesting to me because I'm like, okay, how did the events of this last Holy War come to fruition? Why does Kotomine betray the Tosakas and kill Ren's dad? Like, why is Shiro getting the same saber that Kiritsugu gets?
Right.
Like, where's
how does he go from how does he go
happen?
from being the character that he is in Fate Zero to crying over this child and adopting him, right? Because two completely
he seems like
different
a stone
characters.
cold killer right now.
Completely different characters, but it's the same guy, So I'm excited for you to watch it. I'm almost done. I got 2 more episodes left. I'm gonna watch those. Like I said, I have watched a lot of Fate recently, and also on the same note that you said about like when you have the question, like the drive, because you want to find out how things. That's what's driving me to watch original Fate Stay Night, because like I have the drive of finding out how is it different, and is it because I feel like people say you don't have to worry about the original one because it's not good. But that's because they had Unlimited Blade Works in 2015 animation ufotable to compare to 2006's non-ufotable animation. I feel like that's what people specifically do. Because if it's a remake, that's one thing, right? You don't watch original Hunter x Hunter over the new Hunter x Hunter because it's a remake and it's better because of that thing. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Completely different conversation, but it is a remake, right? So that's why people like one more than the other. But now that we know that it's not a remake, that it's its own individual story, that is canon to the rest of the roots, because that is what the story is. It's 3 different routes. Like, that makes me want to watch original, because I'm not going to look at it like, oh, you know, like, the animation quality is not as good. It's like, no, I'm there for what's different. I didn't even know it was the Saber route. I didn't know that. I had no idea what the route was going to be. So you ruined that for me. Thanks. No, I'm kidding. But it's just like I'm curious about that. So that's that. I will probably stay on the Fate drive and watch Apocrypha again. Apocrypha's okay, you know, but it's still, I love historical figures, and there's a lot of great ones in Apocrypha, but the story itself is kind of convoluted and kind of weird and different. And then there's Fate Grand Order, which is a movie that's on Netflix. I will probably watch that after Fate Zero, because it's just a movie. I'll watch that. That also has Gilgamesh in it, but OG Gilgamesh. So
yeah, I'm gonna watch Fate Zero, and then I will probably watch a couple of the seasonal anime that are coming out now that have kind of caught my eye, but I haven't started.
Yeah, sorry everybody
yeah.
that we haven't talked about Hell's Paradise. We haven't talked about what
Attack
else
on
is
Titan, New Demon Slayer.
New Demon Slayer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I watched the first special of Attack on Titan. I don't know if you watched that yet.
Okay. Yeah, I've watched it now.
Nice. We could talk about all that stuff next week. Yeah.
We faded out here.
Yeah. Well, it was fate. You know, that's the show, not the term. You know.
Dude, there's so much in this freaking universe that you can talk about. I understand. I have a slight understanding as to why people are very like. Do you want the short? Do you want the long or the short explanation? And
Right.
even the short explanation is like hours long.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I mean, it's a great world. I think they stopped being. I think when it comes to like what's related to each other, Fate Apocrypha is the last one that's actually directly related. I want to say, but I haven't seen Grand Order, and Gilgamesh is in that, so I'm assuming it's also related to it. But there's like Khaled Liner, which is in the same universe, but it's an alternate reality or an alternate parallel universe. So it has nothing. It's a cute girls doing cute shit anime, but it's still Fate / Khaled Liner. So it's in the same universe, but it has nothing to do with the Holy Grail War. That's my favorite shit. I love tournament stuff. I love I love the survivor aspect of it, where it's like, who's gonna win? You know, like all these people are fighting. Who's gonna win? Who are you rooting for? Who's your favorite? You know, love that, and that's why I love the Holy Grail arc of all these animes. So, well, that was that. You know, it only took us an hour and 42 minutes to quickly go over Unlimited Blade Works in 3 movies.
I mean, when there's a lot of good stuff, like you just want to keep talking about it. So, and I know that there are things that we missed about both Unlimited Blade Works and the movies, but I think it's a solid anime therapy podcast recommendation.
Yeah.
If you like Fate, or you're like, man, there's too much Fate, I can't get into it, I say please do. It's so enjoyable.
And it's very easy. Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works, 3 movies, and Fate Zero. That's
right.
If you want to be part of the conversation of what everybody mostly knows and praises about the show, it's those 3. Everything else is, you know, there's Fate Extra as well, Lost Prophecy or whatever, and I started that. It's fucking weird. It's like a digital world. Also has a Rin look-alike in it, so, you know, I'm just like, ugh. Anyways, and Saber, you know, of course, Saber is going to be in everything because Saber is...
Saber is Saber.
Yeah, in that wedding dress, in that awkward pose, you know, love that. Totally didn't pause on that frame. So, Anime Therapy Podcast episode 22. We talked about Fate the whole time. It was a good time. We'll be back again, talk about Fate Zero. Probably not as long of a conversation, but who knows? We'll talk about Fate Zero and then probably compare it to everything else that we were watching. But yeah, we'll try to get some new animes out there so we can keep up with the world, like Hell's Paradise. Gotta watch that.
Yeah, it'll probably be like talk about Fate Zero, and then I'll be like, so I watched In Another World with my cheese wheel, and what happened?
In Another World with my smartphone season 2, which is out. Yeah, let's go. Yeah. Who cares? Am I right? Yeah.
No, dude, that's a 10 out of 10 anime.
Yeah, for sure. I was also thinking recently about like what I had recommended to you for you to watch, and I was like, oh yeah, I totally forgot that I recommended Eden of the East. I forgot about that. That I didn't know if you had said 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 or something. But
I don't. Did I watch Eden of the East? I don't remember if I did or not.
You did, yeah. We talked about it. I remember because I have a thumbnail where half of it is Eden of the East, the other is something else, but it's the guy who has the cell phone that has like billions of money in it, and he like has the amnesia.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
that was very good. That was a very good show.
Yeah. I just, it came to my mind. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's one of the ones that we talked about, because we've had each other watch a lot of anime so far. You know, and who cares about, you know, K? You know, it's not a big deal. You know, move on if you don't like it. You know.
Right.
You know, Beaufry. Anyways, I'm rambling. Let's just get out of here. Anime Therapy Podcast episode 22 coming to a close. You have a hot take about Fate?
Hot take about Fate. Man, Sakura is the worst route. That's what
Really? No!
Yeah.
No, it's not true.
I haven't even seen the Saber route, and I'll say
Alright, well, that makes me mad. Alright.
Don't stick your dick in crazy, folks.
Don't stick your dick in crazy.
Don't stick your dick in crazy.
That is our lesson for today. Anime Therapy, you know, take this home with you after our session. Try to stop putting your dick in crazy, everybody. Just try. Adios.